This topic is very special, I think, for both of us, for me and for you as well. We both have ADHD, so we are coming out now. So the very question first is, what did you get out of this diagnosis of being ADHD?
Okay, as a person with an ADHD, as an ADHD human being, I can tell that diagnosis gave me self-acceptance and a huge relief. And acceptance because I think, as many of us, I always thought that there was something wrong with me. We have discussed it. Yeah? There's something wrong because everybody at school, they could focus, they could learn in advance for some test. They knew what was going on at school. I didn't. I had huge problems. I was doing everything on my last possible moment, which was driving my parents crazy. And this was the moment I thought that there's something wrong with me. The funny thing is that when I was a kid, nobody tried to take advantage out of any strengths that I had, right? No storytelling, no improvisation, no, I had to be precise at math. Come on. Yeah, and when I went...
to everybody else, right?
Yes, because everybody is precise at math. You also have to be. But when I went to my university, I felt even worse because I couldn't focus on the lectures. And finally, I've stopped going on the lectures because after 15 minutes of listening to anything, even something more or less interesting, my brain was doing like, no, boring, shut down the system, and I fell asleep. I even thought that I'm sick with some kind of, sleeping illness, because I was falling asleep on the lectures, drooling over my notes, sometimes snoring, which was really embarrassing.
During the lecture, you mean?
Yes, exactly. So I thought that not only there's something wrong with me, but I'm stupid. I'm not good enough to be on these studies, on this university. I'm not good enough to study. And definitely, for all my life, I thought that I'm lazy because everybody is doing all this stuff and I'm lazy because I can't. Well, spoiler alert, I'm not. I'm overworked usually. And I'm smart, I'm brilliant, and I wish I could tell it to my younger me. So maybe I felt better and earlier tried to do my diagnosis. The problem with ADHD is that it gave a very negative background for many things that happened in my life, because those negative thoughts of being stupid, not being good enough, not being enough at all, led me to 4 episodes of depression, severe years of anxiety, panic attacks, and I also have an autoimmune disease because of the stress and pressure in my whole life. But the funny thing is that ADHD is not my weakness. It's not also my full strength.
It's both, right?
Yeah. But it's not definitely my weakness, and I want everybody to remember that having an ADHD is some kind of a feature. And I was thinking for today's conversation on some story that can help neurotypical people to understand how it is to be an adult person with an ADHD. Imagine that you are being born without an arm. It's happening, just you don't have an arm. But nobody's telling you that. So you go to school and everybody's expecting you to play volleyball. Yeah, you try really hard to be as good as the others, but come on, you don't have an arm, so it's impossible to be as good as the other players. But nobody is still telling that you don't have an arm. You're just trying more and more, and the only thing that you hear is, try harder, focus, try harder, don't be so lazy, and you will play this volleyball. And then
As other are, right?
Yeah, because every other people around you do. So this is your fault that you can't. And then finally, you meet some kind of specialist, a psychiatrist in, for example, ADHD, or a doctor with this example with an arm, and they are telling you, you don't have an arm. It will be very hard for you to play typical volleyball. And then it clicks like, oh gosh, yeah, really, I have an ADHD. I'm not the same as the others. I don't have an arm, so I'm not going to play this type of volleyball as well as the others. So I have to look for another discipline. For example, volleyball for people with one hand, or maybe football, but try another discipline. Yeah.
Different features of yours, the strengths rather than those limitations, based on the ADHD. You know, it's very hard for me not to interrupt because I can fully relate to what you have said.
Yeah.
Feeling
No worries.
not fitting in, feeling always being different and individual. I've heard that so many times, and I can fully relate to this relief. That's okay. That's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a bit different, and so I have a different environmental needs. And you mentioned of the struggling, and especially during the uni. So, what are your strategies, your ideas, the things that you can do to kind of tame your ADHD, and especially at the workplace?
Yeah, well, for example, if I knew this earlier, I would be better at my university because to handle any kind of meeting when I'm not the speaker and when I'm not the leader, I'm having a coloring book, and I have few coloring books and like 200 maybe crayons, so I can choose out of many different colors and be spontaneous about the colors. And this is my way of working. And I always say, I'm coloring because I really want to listen to you, and not because I'm not putting enough, focus on this conversation.
So, are you coloring during the meeting, for instance?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful to my boss and to my organization that nobody's having problems with that. This is my way of dealing with it. And as I said, if I had a coloring book on my university, it would go better. But for example, there are some situations that I can't color because of physical, technical issues, and I have an app in my phone where I can click and color some drawing. It also helps. So coloring to focus. Then I have acupressure mat. This is something painful, but it's really helping me to cut off the hyperfocus mode and this mode of I'm focusing on one thing, because as you know, we don't have different modes than no focus, hyperfocus. Yeah, and when you come to hyperfocus, it's real hard to even go back.
Exactly. Sometimes we're very obsessive to finish up to the perfection, right?
Yes, and I'm a mom, and I also have to get up to work and live. So to cut off this hyperfocus, I'm lying on something very unpleasant, because this mat is unpleasant, and it's really helping me to come to my body because it hurts, right? So I have to focus on my body and start to be here and now. So this is my hint to.
I'm very inspired. I'm gonna borrow this idea actually from you, maybe just to try to also tame my hyperfocus, because I can also relate that sometimes I'm just losing myself while working on something. But we mentioned already that ADHD is both. It's sometimes struggling and it's make you those negative consequences of depression, anxiety. But that's not all, right? That's a much bigger condition. Also, giving you a special features, a special qualities. And the very question of mine is how business can benefit from your ADHD, from your perspective. How do you think?
Well, I think the business and the company that I'm working in is already taking this advantage because, for example, people with ADHD, as they are very creative and they are thinking in a very unusual way, so these days we are calling out of the box, we are perfect problem solvers because we can think of everything that, let's say, a neurotypical brain won't think of. So definitely this one. Also, hyper-focusing can be advantage. It's a danger because it can lead to overburning at your work, but it really can be an advantage, especially, for example, I can become an expert of almost anything in 5 days. Yeah, just even quantum physics.
You're so dedicated to make it up to the perfection, right? And there is no limit for you to just make it real.
Yes, exactly. And this is very important to have a smart leader, because when you have a smart leader, like I have, and from this place I'd like to say that my boss, Ivona, she is absolutely brilliant for this, because she gives me those limitations, because she understands me. She knows that I can give everything from myself at work, but she is the one that sometimes she has to say, no, this is not your job. Like, go home. Nice. Yeah, and this is very good thing to have such a boss at our work. And I also want to give you one hint to the last question, because I forgot to mention that because of these problems with taking notes and because of I have to color everything, I found a new tip. AI that is taking notes of what it listens to. So for the last, I believe, 2 weeks, I'm taking notes by AI with every possible lecture that I'm taking part. So I strongly recommend this solution.
So how does it work exactly? So you are just talking to yourself or talking to somebody else, and it's already making notes for you?
There are different options. You can even put, I don't know, a link to YouTube, and it's making you notes out of it. So making notes by AI is a future for ADHD people.
That's so cool. Please share it with me,
Okay,
send
I
it to
will.
me. I'm gonna definitely use it because, I'm really happy that you mentioned those advantages of ADHD, and especially at the workplace. I'm sometimes thinking that, okay, I was struggling a lot, and sometimes I feel a bit cursed because of this ADHD, because the things that are easy for other people are really hard for me. But actually, I think I'm a trainer because of ADHD,
Yes.
because I can improvise. I'm not sure if my bosses would agree with me now, but definitely I can do much more things during the training, feeling the group and just switching my mood to them. And even so, we prepared this conversation and we already switch a bit differently because I think that's ADHD in practice.
Yes, and this improvising is so awesome because honestly, Kuba, please tell that in this moment we could do some stand-up right now.
Definitely.
On any possible
now we are
topic.
warm up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we were really stressing out before, and now we could probably continue this conversation long and long. But
Spontaneous improvisation, in a stressful situation under pressure. These are our strengths.
Definitely. Kasia, thank you so much
Thank
for
you a
sharing
lot.
this. Unfortunately, we don't have no time to continue. I would definitely continue, but maybe afterwards. But thank you so much for
Thank you a
sharing
lot.
and for giving example. And I'm very inspired by your case.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much.